Going to talk about what may or may not be in this autumn statement come Wednesday. It's our top story this morning, and the government has admitted migrant hotels will need to be used for years to come, despite an election pledge to scrap them.
A new Treasury report also finds hotels have made record profits, there's a surprise, from government contracts, accommodating almost 40,000 asylum seekers.
Meanwhile, the Chancellor's drawing up plans to cut tens of thousands of civil service jobs. It's also being touted that cuts could impact free school meals for infants, and also there will be cuts to, wait for it, the railways. That's just what they need, isn't it? The thoughts of political commentator Oscar Redrop on this one. Sock it to me, Oscar.
It's really, really, really bad stuff. I mean, you know, this week, I think, is going to be Rachel Reeves's most challenging week since she's been in power, since the Labour government have been in power. There are no easy choices. A lot of that is because of the headroom that she has not left herself. Can she? And a lot of people ask, what is this like fiscal rules that the government set for themselves? What's the point of that if you don't give yourself any headroom? Well, she has to stick to these fiscal rules now, because if she doesn't, then, you know, the cost of borrowing will skyrocket, interest rates, etc., etc. But look, like, if you really, really shrink it down, the government made a big, big play on going for growth. It's a big part of their manifesto. All the noises about growth, 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 growth. And the OBR are due to come out and halve the growth forecasts. And basically, it's failed. And so what does she do? Does she put taxes up? Politically not palatable in the slightest.
Well, she also promised she wouldn't do it. That would be
exactly. Well, although a lot of people watching this think, well, I still wouldn't put it past the government to do something they promised they wouldn't do. But no, you're right, Dawn. And then secondly, the only other option is the stench of austerity just kind of wafting back through, and that, in terms of, you know, department spending, there are going to be some serious cuts, and there are no easy choices on that, and there's going to be a lot of political pain, I think, this week for Labour.
OK, who was it 4 years ago, clues in the question here, who said, after the financial crash, we cut public services and introduced austerity. It's not the way to go. Austerity and cuts to public services are not right. Who do you think said that just 4 years ago?
Oh, my... Well, we've had about 10 chancellors since then.
Well, yeah, but no, the clue is in the name Keir Starmer.
No, well, Dawn, you're good at this, Dawn. I've noticed this. You're good at this.
Rachel Reeves' boss, it's not just Rachel doing this on her own, by the way. She does have a boss, and that is Keir Starmer, is actually, well, this is austerity. By any other name, this is austerity. Yeah,
and I think that is, we should see that as a public, we should see that as an admittance of defeat in terms of them not knowing how to get the economy moving from a growth perspective. And obviously making those, you know, we're never going to raise taxes, you know, personal taxes, although they have done on business, and that kicks on April the 1st, and that's going to be devastating. I cannot underplay how damaging that is for businesses and for employment and all the rest of it.
But it's who does the business. The National Audit Office has found that putting a migrant in a hotel costs 145 quid a night. Now, I could get a hotel for less than 145 quid a night. So what hotels are they going to? What are they actually paying for? Or how much are we being ripped off as taxpayers in all of this? I mean, we'll never get anywhere with this migrant crisis unless somebody gets tough and somebody basically breaks ranks on this. It's not going to happen under this government, is it?
Well, it's really, you know, when the media, you know, in inverted commas, and I think people sometimes when they watch, they feel as though, oh, they're kind of making a big deal of this, or they kind of amping it up a little bit. But I was honestly, 5.5 million a day.
A day, that's billions a year.
That is genuinely shocking. There's like no hyperbole there. And it has got, I mean, look, the Conservatives left it in a right old mess, so I won't, but it has got worse. Yeah. I think it's another 8,000 more.
To the future, Oscar. OK, 1.5 million homes have been promised to be built in England by 2029. But the National Audit Office are saying this is OK because it'll help to reduce the use of hotels for asylum seekers. But that's not what these homes were intended for.
No, I mean, when you read it out like that, it's funny if you just take a step back and you zoom out a little bit. When you read that out, I mean, that will be so angering to the general public. And, you know, as the government would call them, voters. And honestly, if they don't right that wrong, because it talks to something, you know, when we talk about, you know, immigration and housing, and it talks to fairness, and it talks to people who've put in a lot into society, and they've worked and worked and worked, and they've put in, and they don't get anything out. I mean, honestly, if that balance doesn't tip and we stop paying 5.5 million quid a day, then that, alongside a couple of other issues, maybe not in isolation, there won't be another Labour government next time around.
Well,
I don't think. I think it's that acute. I really do.
Just quickly, Oscar. The Joseph Rowntree Foundation issued a report over the weekend that all UK families would be worse off by up to £1,400 by 2030 under this Labour government. Now, back in the day when in opposition, Labour took everything the Joseph Rowntree Foundation said was gospel. Now, over the weekend, we had Rachel Reeves on TV going, no, that's not true. We're doing a very good job for everybody. So either she's lying to people or she just doesn't understand how finance works.
Yeah, no, that's a really good example you used there, because it shows the identity crisis. They get attacked from the left, they get attacked from the right, they please nobody as a result. And then she actually said yesterday, and, you know, I get you have to defend your record, of course you do, and you have to sound positive, but you get into this awful habit where you have the chance of telling people via a TV screen that actually standard of living's increased since Labour got into power, and people will sit and watch that and they will genuinely, rightly feel insulted.
Well, the Phil had been lied to, and she was also squirming. Just finally, the front page of the Daily Mail today, how about cutting your freebies, Chancellor?
Well,
because she took free concert tickets while
I know it seems like silly stuff, but it's, again, it taps into like the character of a government, and these are really bad front pages. Really bad front pages.
Thank you very much for your take on things. The reason we want to talk about this, we've got figures today which are saying hotels will be used basically forever to house migrants. The price is $5.5 million a day. On this, billions a year we're talking about.
Basically, we're building all these 1.5 million new homes, which is brilliant. We all think that, and we saw over the weekend, go and be brickies, kids, it's a great career. I agree with that, never met a poor one. But these 1.5 million new homes in the next 5 years, the report today says they were going to stop the use of hotels for migrants. So basically, these hotels are for migrants, not ordinary, hard-working
And the new houses
people.
are being built for migrants, it appears.
And the government said they would stop the boats. They said they've got a plan to stop the boats. And actually what we've seen is the highest level of boat arrivals in records under this government. They cancelled the Rwanda deterrent scheme on day one, and then they start now briefing out that actually they're looking at offshore processing themselves. Again and again, Eamonn, I'm afraid to say, they just don't have a plan. And when they do have plans, they tend to be in the wrong direction as well. So they need to get a grip. We are all paying the price. And that's what we're going to see this week, a spring budget, an emergency budget, where all of Rachel Reeves' bad choices come home to roost.
Andrew, we keep talking about Rachel Reeves, but she's not operating on her own. Do you think that, I mean, you know, the stories over the weekend that she would be thrown under the bus by her boss, that her term is finished? What do you make to that?
Well, you're right, and we should play the ball, not the man or woman. It's not just any one individual, it's this government across the piece, whether it's attacking farmers, small businesses, taking away the winter fuel allowance for pensioners, fueling a brain drain of some of our best and brightest, with 1 millionaire leaving this country every 45 minutes, making us all worse off because we lose their wealth and their tax revenues. So it really is a failing government. And this is a scorecard. This is the OBR, the independent OBR, holding up a card saying, you, the government, have not delivered an economy that's growing. You've not even financed the important increase in defence spending we want. You haven't got a grip on migration, and on and on. And of course, if a government was serious about building homes, why would they then lower the house building target in the centre of London where many of those homes are needed?